Just before Series 9 starts, I decided to slip another Colin Baker related video into the schedule. So here we have a whole review of the Last Adventure box set, which is 4 hours of Colin Baker, my first main Big Finish buy, and it's just Colin Baker, so therefore it's automatically 10 out of 10, as you know, because that is how my channel rolls. Hello YouTube and welcome to another Doctor Who video. Now today I'm doing something that I've wanted to do for quite a while, because recently I did a video called Defending Colin Baker, and in that video I said I've not really listened to any of his Big Finish work, and that got me thinking I should really start, and I've decided to start doing Big Finish videos. I'm hopefully going to be getting a few audios over a few months, hopefully. I don't know how it's going to work out, but basically I'm starting off with my favourite Doctor, of course, Colin Baker, and I thought the best way to start that would be to get the very recent one, the Last Adventures box set with the Regeneration in, which I believe that is quite recent. I think it's came out in the last month. Basically I'm getting it in this bookshop. It's actually coming in physical form at the end of September, but I actually have the digital one already. I should get the digital version, and basically it's all confusing, but you don't need to know that. But yeah, I will no doubt do a review with the actual product, like a product review in my normal formula, when I actually get that. But today I'm going to be reviewing the actual episodes, as I've already listened to them, so I could just give you my thoughts on them and things. I thought that it would be best to do them now, as when I actually get the box set, I think I'll be in mid-flow Series 9 content of episode reviews, and no doubt around then it is actually quite crammed, so I thought that it would be just generally best off to film this review now and upload it now, so we don't get all confused in the Series 9 content. I just also said I do have 2 physical CDs from Big Finish. I got these in the post the other day. We have This Is Colin Baker, which I might do a review of. If you want to see a review of this, please leave it in the comments, and I might get it up before Series 9 goes out. But yeah, there's that one. And then I also got the Maltese Penguin as Frobisher in, and it's the only one currently in print with Frobisher, as the Holy Terror is unfortunately out of print now. Even though I love that story, I really need to track it down. But yeah, this one is Frobisher. I decided to get it as it was a really good price. So moving on to the actual story now, basically it consists of 4 episodes that are an hour long, so I do believe that that is shorter to a standard Big Finish story. Well, compared to the Holy Terror, it was actually quite small per episode, I think, because that one seemed to last for quite a while, but it felt so much detail in there. But yeah, these episodes are all brilliant in their own way. Now, there are, of course, a few that are better than others, but I think all 4 stories have something to offer, because they are all in different ideas and all different settings and things, made by all different writers, which is something the new series does have. But I think that this is definitely the new series done better. Basically, we have 4 adventures that is split across the 6th Doctor's timeline. So we have one to start with Constance Clark, which is the end of the line. Then we have one with Charlotte Pollard, which there's a confusing thing around her, which I'm not really very well known about. It is something relating to the 8th Doctor. I do believe that what I know, or something, is she travelled with the 8th Doctor, then somehow she stopped travelling with the 8th Doctor, and then somehow she went and travelled with the 6th Doctor, but he doesn't know that. I don't know. Then following that we have Stage Fright with the companion Flip, and then at the very ending episode we have Mel as Bonnie Langford as the companion, which she isn't really in it that much, and we have someone else playing a companion role, but that's all confusing really. Put it this way, I expected Mel to be in it more, but I think that all of the companions in this box set definitely have something to offer in their own way, as they're all very, very different. And then of course we have Jago and Lightfoot, which I love and I will come on to a bit later. Yeah, just before I actually start anything, I'd just like to say, this video will contain spoilers. It's not a spoiler-free review, so if you are planning on getting it, I will probably advise not watching this review, as I'm going to be saying what's going on in the stories and all the different spoilers and stuff, so you have been warned. Now, the first episode is The End of the Line. Now, this is written by Simon Baynard and Paul Norris. Now, I really think that this episode is actually quite good. It's a nice little opening to the series, and I definitely think that this story arc, overall, this one is rather split apart. I would say that about episode 2, but really when coming towards the end it's actually got quite a crucial part, which I will come on to. This episode features Constance Clark as the companion, as I've said, and there is actually something quite interesting about her character, because so far on Big Finish, this is actually the first ever public version that we've seen of her companion. She's not physically been in an audio adventure yet. I do believe that she's coming into the audios in October or even September time, I do think, before the introduction with the Doctor, so in a way it's rather Clara-like, and we're actually seeing her as a companion before she's even been introduced. But yeah, I don't actually know anything about any of the companions really, so so in a way this is my first story for all of them, so it's sort of the same scenario with me, but it's most likely quite rare for anybody else to be like that. It's actually quite a good companion. She's interesting because she's quite a powerful female lead. I do believe she's from the 1940s, so she is quite powerful. She's not as screamy as Joe Grant or anything like that, and there is a few points in the end of the Line's story where the Sixth Doctor goes off and does his own thing, and then Constance is actually in control of the people on the train, and she needs to sort of look after them, which is something I couldn't really see other companions in the actual adventure doing, really. But yeah, Constance Clark was played by Miranda Rayson, so yeah, she did a really good job at that. Going off my notes now because I needed to write this down because I'm useless with names. Yeah, Tim Hope was played by Anthony Howell. Keith Potter was played by Chris Finley. Norman was played by Hamish Clark. Alice Lloyd was played by Anthura Ura. And then Hilary was played by Maggie Service. Now, this was obviously the first episode that I listened to from the box set, and honestly, I think that throughout all of the stories, maybe this episode is the one with the least developed characters in a way. I didn't really feel as engaged in them. I didn't really feel like I knew them that much. You know, so they aren't really that important, but some of them are. First off, Norman, the ticket inspector. Now, he is quite a annoying role in a way. I think we're sort of made to dislike him, which is one of those stereotypical, oh, I take my job too seriously. There's a health and safety person who needs to look after all the people on the train. There is actually quite a few funny scenes with Norman and the Sixth Doctor, and that nearly results in the Sixth Doctor being locked in a public train toilet, which, yeah, you can just imagine how that went down. But yeah, it was actually quite a nice little contrast between the Sixth Doctor and Norman. I think that did work quite nicely. And then, upcoming spoiler, that Keith Potter is in fact the Master. Now, in a way, he's sort of like an embodiment of the Master, like sort of a bit like how Chameleon changed into him. That's how I see it anyway. And basically, we have the Master in this story, and he was using the trains and things, which I'll come onto the main plot a little bit later. But yeah, he was using the trains to basically to his advantage, which was quite an interesting flip as well, and something that that I didn't expect. I knew that there was some type of revelation, big, oh, I didn't expect that in the first episode. I was personally expecting it to be the Valyard, but it turns out he comes in it a little bit later in a very small reference. But yeah, he was alright. He was quite a good actor, actually. I like that it was Keith Potter, the trend spotter. I found that quite amusing. So now going on to the plot, basically, I find this plot actually quite news series related. It's basically on a commuter train on the London Underground, something that you can sort of relate with if you have a job or if you go to a college or something, and you need to travel in. If you go on the same bus every single day at the same time, you'll no doubt see the same people going to different workplaces and things, and you might even get to know them. That is basically what this story is about. We have the same people who know each other on this train carriage, and then we have Norman, the ticket inspector, which is clearly like sort of his route, and he's on that train all the time, so even the passengers know him. So yeah, I like that feature, as it really makes the public transport thing, it sort of cuts it down because the characters already know each other, so just through general conversation we get to know the characters very, very quickly. As for more time and character development in other places rather than needing to spend 20 minutes introducing each character, which personally I don't think many of the characters actually had many things to offer. I think the people were quite bland in places, really, for all the other stories compared. Basically, we have this train that's taken out of time, and then we basically have this train and this pocket universe that sort of doubles, so we'll have one platform and one train, then two platforms and two trains, and then it'll expand 4, 8, you know, and it'll go on like that, and it'll get bigger and bigger, and then as it gets bigger, like the energy is created, and then the Master was using this energy, basically. It's quite a cool plot. It's quite something very new series that I would imagine. So basically we have this underground train that the Sixth Doctor and Constance bump into quite often when they pick up this person from the tracks. They walk along the tube tunnel and it's in quite pitch black darkness, but they see the train in the distance, and then this train is rather damaged and old, and put it as it's been ruined. It is quite an interesting plot because we have the train through different segments of its time, so where it's just being caught in this time bubble, then years and millions of years down the line and things. And then we have this rather dark thing as one of the people on the train goes off and then ends up getting killed. And we end up to start, well, me as a person, I was thinking that it was some type of evil creature, like a monster or something, but it wasn't. It was actually somebody on the train, quite a psychopathic person that was going mental and wanting to kill people. And then I believe at one point, from what I can remember, she ended up smacking somebody's head against a wall constantly like that. Which, that wouldn't be able to happen in televised Doctor Who these days. Maybe it's a rather gruesome detail, which is something that I've noticed about Big Finish. They are able to add in gruesome details, and when I'm referring to the Holy Terror, that is gruesome. But yeah, I really need to review that story when I get it in physical form, because wow, that episode is amazing. Overall for this episode, I think it's alright, and I think the atmosphere works well as well. I think the sound design is really good as it sort of echoes in places, and it really gives it this atmosphere with the fog and things. So yeah, overall it's an okay story, if a little bit disconnected from the others, but it is a nice opening. But what I would say is, compared to the others, it doesn't really start as quickly. A lot of the other stories, especially the Red House, within a few minutes, within the first track, you are there and in the middle of the story already, which I think that this episode is quite slow starting, which for the first episode of the series I was getting a little bit worried about, because I was personally getting a little bit bored in the first few minutes. But it turns out that was just a story style, and I definitely think that that format may have been better a little bit later on in the series. So now moving on to the Red House, which is an interesting one. Now personally, I came out of this episode, when I literally ended the episode, I felt a bit underwhelmed. I felt that the actual plot idea was good, but it wasn't executed well. But when the actual box set ended, it sort of gave the episode a lot more meaning in places, which is something that once again is rather new series, as some episodes feel quite pointless, but then once it gets to the end of the series, there's this big massive revelation that makes it a little bit better and a bit more needed in a way. We have the Sixth Doctor, and this time we have Charlotte Pollard. Now personally, I didn't really connect to Charlotte Pollard very well. I don't think she's as interesting. I think she may be a little bit more interesting with the Eighth Doctor, and I do think that she was a bit confusing in places. Like, to start the story, there was a reference to her adventure that she had with the Eighth Doctor, and she references it, and the Sixth Doctor is confused, because of course she hasn't actually been and done that with the Sixth Doctor, so he's rather confused of how she would know that, and that's soon brushed over, which I didn't get that to start with, because I obviously haven't watched any Eighth Doctor audios yet, so no doubt if I did have watched any Eighth Doctor audios, I would have no doubt got that reference straight away. But yeah, I think that from a new time thing, I think that there was a few references in there that I probably did miss. So this episode is written by Alan Barnes, which I don't know if he's done Doctor Who in the past, but yeah, it's an okay story, and the cast, and there is actually quite a small cast, or at least credible. So yeah, we have Ashley Maguire playing Sergeant, we have Rory Keenan playing Hugo, and then we have Jessie Backley playing Linda, and then Audrey Bernard playing Dr. Pennington. Now, I originally thought that she was called Dr. Payne. Is that what people literally called her in the story? I'm sure that might have just been a mispronunciation. But yeah, she was called Dr. Payne in the story, or Dr. Ping, you know, depending on how you say it. I don't know. It's a weird name, but basically it's Payne, so it's threatening. But basically, it's one of those episodes where I honestly can't imagine it in a physical Doctor Who world. I can't see it on screen, because we have wolf people, basically. What happens is we have two different sections of people. We have sort of this police station where we have this device, which we'll come on to a little bit later. We have this device, and basically we have these people that are going to get these wolves and take away all of the human emotion in them, because they are part wolf, part human. And we have this device that is going to take away other human emotion and then make them into standard wolves. And then we have this group of people that are the wolf people, who obviously don't really like this, obviously. But basically we have this sort of reverse wolf story. They are of course werewolves, and normally when a human sees the moonlight, they would then turn into a werewolf. I think that's how it works. I don't know. But yeah, if we have that, that's how it works in Tooth and Claw. So I'm basing that as an example, okay? I don't really know much about werewolves. But yeah, basically we have that concept. But that concept is flipped. We have werewolf people that when in moonlight turn into humans. Okay, are you getting this? I think it's an interesting concept. I mean, it's essentially the concept just flipped, so it's not really too original, but it worked okay. Basically, these werewolves had emotion, and it was once again a new series reference in there. It was most based around the relationship of two wolves in there, and it really comes clear in the end when the people, when they're at threat of a nuclear bomb dropping on the island, and the person in the police station says, "Take these two, they're a breeding pair," which is something that I would sort of hear Stephen Moffat come up with. But yeah, it is much based around the relationship of Hugo, and I can't remember the other one's name. And basically those are the two credible ones that I've got on my cast list, so I'm hoping so. Yeah, which they are okay. I think I could sort of, I think I got used to their characters more. I think I felt a bit more engrossed in their characters than I did in End of the Lines cast list. But yeah, basically we have these wolf people, and then Charlotte Pollard is captured. Oh no. And then she goes to the police station, she's fastened up to the machine, and then Dr. Payne is going to take out all of the human emotion in her. Which there is a bit of problem in that, because she is in fact a human. So basically, if you're going to take all the human emotion away, she's going to be nothing and she's just going to die. which that's not very good, is it? Thinking that she's a werewolf, which obviously that would leave her as just a werewolf, you know. So, yeah, and then Dr. Payne leaves the room and she leaves this guy under control, which he then takes off his hood to reveal that it's the Valeyard. And I do believe that in the box set this is the first main casting of Michael Jason as the Valeyard. He was in the end of the line just a little bit. He wasn't really a key part to the plot, but we have him here. And wow, as soon as he makes his entrance, I'm just engrossed in the story, because he brings a real good sort of emphasis on the story, and just the way that he says things, it is very naturally evil. And in this story, the Valeyard and the Doctor never meet, and it goes on like that. The story plays out, and then eventually the werewolf people attack the police station. A distress call is sent to the other island, and then as sort of a precaution, a nuclear bomb is then going to be dropped onto the island to then wipe out the whole werewolf population, which is all scary and stuff. And then Colin's there trying to save everyone, and then he wants to try and get everybody into the TARDIS, but one of the people in the police station, as I've said, says, no, take these two, they're a breeding pair, which I think is quite an interesting concept, and it's much like something that was actually said in Time Heist with the Teller, as much as I don't really want to reference to that story, because it's not too good. Then basically the nuclear bomb somehow explodes in the ocean, because somebody has Time Lord technology, and I wonder who that is. And that is the first ever time the Sixth Doctor starts to think, something weird's going on here. But because it's sort of separated across the Sixth Doctor's timeline, it's not really noted straight away that, that's what's going on. And now we move on to Stage Fright, written by Matt Fitton. Now, wow. Literally, I don't even care about the canoning of Doctor Who at this point. I'm very welcoming to this being canon along with the rest of Big Finish now, because Big Finish, wow. This episode is probably my top 3 Colin Baker stories of all time, including audio and televised. No doubt that will change in places when I've got 2 more Colin Baker episodes on the audio format, but wow, this episode, I loved it. It is a brilliant story. It is basically, quite for me, it's ticking a lot of boxes. The first box, it is a historical story. I like historical stories. If you give me a Doctor Who historical story, I will no doubt sit down and watch it, because I like historic things. I like history, in a way. I don't really remember the dates, though, as if you know me, I'm not very good with numbers. I can't really remember numbers to save my life. And we have the return of Jago and Lightfoot. Now, for a while, I've been wanting to get into Big Finish, as I've said, and for some reason, the Doctor Who line didn't interest me in this massive form. Obviously it did, but one big area that interested me was Jago and Lightfoot, which are the 2 inspectors from the Talons of Weng Chiang in the 4th Doctor era, and by far my favourite probably of the whole box set, even though the Regeneration story is next. I love this story. And first off we have Flip, played by Lisa Greenwood, by far my favourite companion of the whole box set as well. I love Flip. I've heard that she is in a lot more Big Finish adventures. One that is coming up quite a lot is The Curse of Davros, and I've listened to the trailer for that, and I think I need to buy it because that one sounds brilliant. She tweeted her just after listening to the story, and she actually replied on that night, I think. Which, that's nice. You know, she seems to be a really nice person. I think she was a great companion. And, yeah, I would happily have seen her in the televised series, because I need to now get more of her, because I think that she's a brilliant actor. And I think that she's a great companion as well, and she's probably on my list there with Frobisher. I really like her funny quotes, like Victorian's Got Talent and stuff. She's rather modern. She's, as much as I don't want to refer her to Rose Tyler, she's like Rose Tyler, but done right. She's like the not so moany whiny Rose Tyler, but a really good modern day version that is actually funny. Clearly we have the Valeyard. Now this is the episode. Basically, I would welcomely say that this is the part 1 to the final, because it plays in with it quite well. Basically, this is where the Valeyard confronts the Doctor. And we have the Valeyard, or known in this story as Yardvale. He's working in the theatre, and he's got his own production going on, and he's going to make this a pantomime sort of theatre thing, by using Jago's theatre. And basically, it is the thing about regeneration, basically, and he is reenacting the Doctor's regenerations, and it is a brilliant story. Honestly, this episode may as well be called Regeneration, because if you've not seen any of the regenerations, this is a perfect one to start with. I would welcome except this is a bit of a 50th anniversary special as well, in a way, as it looks back rather well on something that the Day of the Doctor didn't really do. So to start with, we have him reenacting the first Doctor's incarnation of the regeneration, and wow, it's quite evil. Just the way that Michael Jason plays it, it really feels really eerie and creepy. And I think that works brilliantly. I think that he did a brilliant job at that. And we have these characters who reenact it, and he's using this device. It's the second time that I've used this device. Oh, I wonder what that is. And it's soon referenced in later on in the story that it is in fact the same emotional device as the one seen in the Red House. Now, I clicked onto this a little bit earlier on in the story as I sort of recognised the concept of the device and I think the sound effects that we used as well. But I think it still surprised me when it was like, no, this was the one that was in the Red House, and that's what that's what the Sixth Doctor actually recognised, and it was quite a big revelation in the story, which I loved, and I think it was just brilliant. Jargo and Lightfoot carry it really well as well. I think that their voices in general are brilliant for audio. But yeah, there isn't really too much to say overall, because I think that this story is definitely one that can't really be said with emphasis without sort of getting the initial impact without even actually seeing it. I think that it's a great story set in Victorian London. Really has some atmosphere once again, and quite an evil backdrop. I just love the way that he got Flip to play, I think it was Zoe in the second Doctor one here. She was actually in the costume and everything. And just the concept of the story, it reminded me a bit of Ripper Street that's on BBC One at the moment. It starts off as a crime. We have these people that have been murdered, and they are wearing clothing of past events, like past companions. I think it's quite eerie on dead bodies and things. That's what the Valyard has done. It's sort of like replicas in a way to gain the emotion, and then he collected that emotion. It was a really good story. And Colin in this episode as well, I would definitely say that the Sixth Doctor, oh, he's brilliant in all of them. I think that this episode definitely sees him in a brilliant light, and I think that Jargo and Lightfoot work really well with him as well. Brilliant story, I loved it. 10 out of 10, honestly. Then the very end, when the TARDIS goes off and dematerialises, you have this really nice ending scene with Jago and Lightfoot where Jago goes on about how he might produce a theatre thing of his own, and then they end up walking down the street, and I could just imagine this in my head visually, of them walking down the Victorian street with sort of all this horse and carriages and things going by on the cobble thing, and then just walking away with the voice in the background, and then the camera just sort of lifts up like how it does in Survival. I think that that would have been a brilliant story. Quite honestly, I would have happily seen this televised as well. I think that that would be a brilliant televised story. Literally, if this was Trial of the Time Lord, I honestly think that Colin would have a such better reputation as the Doctor. Right then, now for the Brink of Death. I've literally needed to get a new cup of tea, because I've been filming this video for that long, and I need some tea to get through this last episode, because, you know, it's Colin. Okay, so the Brink of Death, the last actual episode for Colin Baker as the Sixth Doctor. Of course he's coming back, but this is the last episode of his run, technically, of the era of the Sixth Doctor, and bloody hell, wow. Just wow. I've been watching this at the same time as Matthew Rowney from The Who Addicts. He actually watched it all and marathoned it whilst he was at work. He listened to it whilst he was like typing some interesting things, I don't know. But yeah, he was listening to it, and he's not really, he doesn't like Colin Baker as the Doctor on TV that much. He doesn't really like any of his episodes. You know, some people have that opinion, obviously. I don't. He honestly said that he has gained some respect for the Sixth Doctor in this because he's brilliant on audio, and I know what people say. People have said that for so long. He is amazing on audio, and bloody hell, guys, you are right. Wow. This episode is absolutely amazing. I would take this as a replacement for the Trial of a Time Lord in a heartbeat. Basically, this episode was written by Nicholas Briggs, which, thanks to Liv, at the time of filming this, it's Sunday now. I got home from school on Friday. I just found out that they announced some more photo ops, and Liv, who I'm going with, Liv and Matthew, Liv decided to go and get us a photo op with Nicholas Briggs. So that's even better, isn't it? The voice of the Daleks, and the person who gave Colin Baker some dignity as the Doctor and his regeneration, which, thanks, Liv. Brilliant. First up, we have Mel, played by Bonnie Langford. She's on the big cover art. It's the Sixth Doctor, the Valyard, and then her, which I don't really think that she deserves to be that big on the art, to be honest, because even though she's the only televised companion in this, she's not in it that much. She's in it the least, I would say, of all of the other cast members as a companion. But yeah, we do have the other replacement for the companion in this box set, which is a little bit interesting. But we have Liz White, who plays Janesta. Now, this companion is quite unclear. Basically, you have a rather new series idea, once again, a bit like Astrid Peth from The Voyage of the Damned. The Doctor promises her by the end of this he's going to take her back to Earth, and then they can go on adventures and things. But unfortunately, she turns into the Valyard, because in the Matrix world, everybody is the Valyard, and it's creepy as hell. Actually, she turns into the Valyard, and at the very start of the story, we may as well start from the start. I'm all over right now because this episode's amazing. Basically, at the start of the story, the TARDIS goes a bit mental and starts throwing sparks, so the Doctor goes under the TARDIS piece and then starts fiddling with some wires. Then all of a sudden, the music changes, and then he slides out of the TARDIS, and it's the Valyard, and he's right there, and then it's all dark, and Mel's just there, continuing like it's the Doctor, which is rather unusual because the Valyard has messed up everything, and he has changed Mel's mind to that he is the Doctor and the Doctor isn't the Doctor, basically. And what he ends up doing is putting the Sixth Doctor into the Matrix, which is obviously the idea played with in Trial of the Time Lord. I just love the amount of references in this episode. For a start, within the first few minutes, we have the Sixth Doctor suggesting to take Mel to Lakertia, which is of course the planet from Time and the Rani. I just love the way that Nicholas Briggs has incorporated a lot of the Time and the Rani references in there to make this episode unexcusably canon. I just love it because this fits so well into Time and the Rani. Although Time and the Rani is bad, in my own opinion, and in quite a lot of other people's opinions, I think that it's just so well fitted in. And then they go to this planet, the Valyard gets this thing from the volcano-y thing, and then he takes it back to the TARDIS. Mel's still confused. She isn't in it that much. I don't think she has a big part to play, to be honest. But the most important bit, let's grab the cup of tea. The most important bit of this story, which quite honestly, I know that I've gone through that episode really quickly, but the thing that we need to talk about is the regeneration, and bloody hell, it is dragged out quite a while. Basically, the episode is 6 minutes to live, which 6 minutes, the Sixth Doctor, yeah, he has 6 minutes to live, and he's in the Matrix, but the 6 minutes is dragged out, and Janesta manages to do this thing where it's split over a certain amount of time. And eventually, the Sixth Doctor and the Valyard have this confrontation at the end, and just the time when the Sixth Doctor stands up and goes, "No, because I'm a Time Lord, I'll die, but Mel won't, because the Valyard is there, and he knows how he doesn't want to kill his companion, obviously, like how he never would want to. And he sort of goes, oh, well, she's human, so she will survive, because the radiation isn't deadly to humans. And then just at that point, you can see how powerful Colin Baker's Doctor is, and it's amazing. And then he starts doing the rather Night of the Doctor thing of listing a few companions, which was nice. So we had Perry in there, then we had all the ones that have been referenced in his box set. We had Flip, then we had all the others, which represents like how he's hopefully going to have more companions on Big Finish in the future. Unfortunately, no mention of Frobisher. It would have been lovely for Frobisher to be mentioned. And then we have the Sixth Doctor, and then he sends this mental message to the Sixth Doctor in the TARDIS's head to go to Lakertia. So in a way, he sends him to his own death, and he pretty much sacrifices himself in order to save Gallifrey, so all the Time Lords don't become evil manifestations of the Valyard. Which I would say that is probably one of the most heroic regenerations, because that's the equivalent of, say, the 11th Doctor sacrificing himself in the Day of the Doctor in the All 13 moment. But yeah, and then his last lines, obviously spoilers and stuff, but yeah, he dies brilliantly. Mel obviously collapses, so he theoretically sort of dies alone, really. The way that it's tackled on audio is amazing. We have Regeneration, I Feel It, and then Change, I Feel It, and things, which is references to his first line. Colin's acting in it is amazing, and the way that it's done on audio with having the guest starring of the Sylvester McCoy 7th Doctor, of course, with having our future is in safe hands, with the 6th Doctor and the 7th Doctor saying that at the same time, and it just ends with that quote, our future is in safe hands, and then it just goes to the theme. It was brilliant. Honestly, it was absolutely amazing. If you're not planning on getting the box set, just make this Regeneration in your Doctor Who mind canon. It's amazing. I love it. Off this box set, as I said, I can't really comment on the visual physical product because I don't have it yet, but I only have the digital version. But I will be hopefully doing a product review in the same formula that I normally do when I do eventually get that, hopefully. But I just wanted to do this now so it can sort of not interrupt the Series 9 stuff, which Series 9 is coming very soon, guys, in case you didn't know. Brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. For a start, these are 4-hour adventures in total. I believe they're 1 hour each, I think. And it retained my attention for someone who has only listened to the Holy Terror, which is amazing and longer, A Voyage to a New World, and then I believe this. I think that's all I've watched. And maybe another one. I think I'm forgetting one. And of course, this is Colin Baker and the Maltese Penguin, actually, obviously. And it kept my attention. On the first day back to school, which was my Thursday when I went back, I had a long dull day. And I just straight away at about 4 o'clock, I typed in and then put it up digitally, and I listened to the whole of Stage Fright within an hour, obviously, and I loved it. Then straight after that, I went on to the final adventure, maybe with a little gap in between, but I wanted to listen to it because I was so engrossed in the story, and that shows when it audio in my mind, because I never thought that I would be able to have the attention to retain that of an audio for very long, and it turns out this box set really does that well. All of them are good in their own right, and especially the ending of Red House. By the time the end of the story of that being the Valyard and things and all that being revealed, that gave that story definitely a big thing and a big sort of quite a big part of the box set, which I just loved. I can't wait to get this in physical form. If you have a spare £20, get the digital version. If you have a spare £30, go on Amazon and get it and pre-order it for the 30th of September. I know it's already out already on Big Finish for 40, but it's on Amazon for cheaper, which is where I got it from. Brilliant. It is absolutely amazing. I loved it every single minute. So that's that. I know it's been a longer video than normal, but theoretically I have reviewed like 4 whole 1 hour episodes within a video, so apologies if it's been long. Yeah, no doubt this will be probably the only video for this week, depending on how I'm feeling. But yeah, it is a long one, so I guess you can let me off for that. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, please do give it a big like, and please subscribe if you're not already. If you have any questions to ask me, please do leave them below, and I'll be sure to answer them at some point in the near future. Thanks again for watching, and I shall see you all next time. So yeah, thanks for watching, and bye for now.